Welcome back to the show, the DTCC. What's going on? Will the DTCC really use the XRP ledger? And can XRP really hit $1,000 by 2030? Somebody roll that beautiful intro so we can find out.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. We got to move quick. Here it is. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and DigPerspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $3.88 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's off 0.3 in the last 24 at the time of recording this video. Bitcoin 111,000 plus, 4,000 plus for Ethereum. Excuse me, XRP's number 5 spot at 245, off 1.5 on the 24 and off 13.2 on the 7-day. Oh, we need to get that market infrastructure bill passed. Ranging between 236 and 248, as well as the ETFs approved, the bank charter and the Fed master account. We all know we're waiting on it. But you know what? Nonetheless, things are moving. Let's start right here. iTrustCapital, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? This is something you're going to want to check out for yourself. iTrustCapital/XRP Army. Use the code at the bottom. Whether you're going to check out the IRA or the PCA account, I'm telling you right now, you're going to love it no matter what you try. But the PCA is the newest account that gives you an opportunity, even if you're not using the IRA, which you should, in my opinion. Even if you're not using the IRA, you could use the PCA account. And for long-term holders out here, it's going to give you the comfort you've been looking for. You want to put your assets somewhere where you get the same institutional grade custody as an IRA? Well, you could do it right here at iTrustCapital. What are you waiting for? Click the link underneath any video and empower yourself and get started today. Take a look at this. You guys know this clip. This is back when Gary Gensler was at the SEC. Good riddance. But you know what? Even at that time when it was going on, they were voting to, in fact, use distributed ledger technology to speed up settlement time from T+1 to T+0. And indeed, such measures are underway.
The ever-increasing pace of advancements in technology, including distributed ledger technology, further shortening the standard settlement cycle in the near future may be both desirable and feasible. Indeed, some such efforts are already underway.
Today, we do have those technologies not only to shorten the settlement cycle to 1 day, but also to shorten key elements of what's called the clearing process, that which goes on before. Also, I think, rather important.
It is rather important, and I think that's why we saw Ripple buy Hidden Road and Rail Financial. But let's get to the vote and how it worked out, even under Gary Gensler.
Moving the securities in the evening or end of day. The technology actually exists today, not just for same-day affirmation, confirmation, and allocations, but even for same-day settlement. How did commissioners vote on the division's recommendations to amend the Securities Exchange Act on clearing and settling?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. The recommendation is approved unanimously.
That's from 3 years ago. And now we're watching it all about to unfold. And what does it look like? Well, here's what it's going to look like. It's going to look like the railroad, but of today.
I think what's happening right now is remarkable historically. Maybe the railroad technology of the 1880s had as much policy-led support as this does. I've never seen as much, policy supported support for innovation. Even I was around in the 1990s during the first wave of the internet, when Congress passed some important legislation that was Republican-led, and the White House, Democrat-led under President Clinton, worked very, very well together. And together, they developed a do no harm policy for the early internet, and that was really important. And yet, as forward-leaning as that was, this is even more so. And so I think you're going to have a lot of building of infrastructure, of L1s, L2s, L3s, and the crypto, as you're listeners may know, those are the base layers of these blockchain buildings, and then the applications that are built upon that. But then also financing for this technology, because it does require a lot of capital to build it. So all of that is going to take place. Now, even with that policy-led support, that doesn't rule out there might be, and there very well might be, a bubble in prices, and we could have a bubble bursting, just as it did during every technology revolution. You know, the railroad era of the 1880s ended in, I think it was 1897, with a major crash as big as the Depression. And the same could happen. But interestingly, when that crash happened, nobody tore up the railroads.
There it is right there. Nobody tore up the railroads. Going to be plenty of booms and busts. But this innovation is here. The embrace is happening. These headwinds have turned to tailwinds, as Brad Garlinghouse has said multiple times, which is why I point to the connection to SWIFT as one of the main things to keep an eye on. Because SWIFT is not only partnered with ACI worldwide as a longtime partner, but it's also that ACI is partnered with Ripple. So we have the indirect connection to SWIFT. We also know and realize that the November 25 deadline next month, in just a couple weeks, ISO 20022 migration is final, and it will not move. This is the language of SWIFT, according to Finextra. However, SWIFT has asserted that the current deadline of cross-border payments will not move. Organizations are set to migrate November 2025. This is where we are. We're less than a month away of this moment. Now, I'm starting to get to a place where I do not find it mutually exclusive that the U.S. government is shut down while this reboot and this changeover is happening. I know it's SWIFT in the U.S. government, but I'm telling you, this is something to watch out for. And every day that they stay closed and closer to getting to this date, I feel even stronger about it. And I'm also wondering if they've already got the Clarity Act figured out to pass. And when they come back in, they pass this thing in almost record time in the Senate. And then it's signed because it's already passed the House. Then it's signed by the president into law. And then what? Possibly the next internet.com boom, but for digital ledger technology, distributed ledger technology and digital assets. That's what we could be looking at. It's not financial advice, but I mean, this is truly the moment that's in front of us here. Just like Cristiano Carlo had said. This is the next revolution, industrial revolution. This is the fourth industrial revolution. And they're not going to rip up the railroad tracks because you have a few boom and busts throughout this. This is here to stay. Just like the internet.com era had plenty booms and busts. But the internet is here today. Better and stronger than it ever has been before. And here's evidence right here. Smoke Dog again showing you ISO 20022 site. Then he goes through the site. And as he moves through the site, he'll roll down here, Mojaloop Foundation, which we know is partnered with Ripple. And then he goes into that even a little further, pulls up the download, goes into that, and then shows us the connection between the Interledger Protocol right here, V4 pack, ILP, Interledger Protocol, which we know was created by Stephen Thomas and Ripple. That's what we know. So this gets really interesting. Interledger Protocol, there it is. So this gets very interesting when you see that we're just a couple weeks away from potentially all of this being turned on live. And if so, what will it be like? Will it be 1% flows, 3% flows, 100% flows? I doubt it at first. How will they begin to integrate that into their daily flows? That's what's getting exciting for me. Now, with that being said, very quickly here is a gentleman here talking from the DTCC, and who's sitting on the panel is important. You have the managing director, chief technology and architect, Robert Palatnik, and that's from DTCC. Then you have to the left of him, Mr. Lee Brain from Barclays Bank. And then to the right is R3 Corda's CEO, David Rudder, of all people, who had a pre-allocated option contract to XRP until they didn't live up to the deal and they went and got sued. But nonetheless, DTC's talking about the whole idea of getting the door open so they can use this technology. Well, we know they're going to use the technology. How do we know? Right here, FinTech Times, Smoke Dog again, Ripple and DTCC. It's not just Swift. If it's going to be Swift, it's going to be DTCC. It ain't going to be one without the other. Just as DTCC provides settlement for U.S. equities, for example, blockchain-based settlement networks such as Ripple, Rocks, and Copper have the potential to provide near instant settlement for global fiat currencies and digital assets. Entirely new remittance payment products could potentially be developed for the digital dollar. You don't say. Or how about this guy, Dan Dunny from the DTCC himself?
Real world assets. This is now a very real disruptive force to traditional finance.
You better believe it. They settle over 2 quadrillion a year. And they have the ability to tokenize 100 trillion without anyone's permission.
As I mentioned to you, the one right to win that DTCC has in this model is we are the record keeper for quadrillions of dollars of transactions, but for fundamentally assets under record, approximately $100 trillion worth of assets. So unilaterally, without the need to engage anyone else, we can actually make it possible to tokenize $100 trillion worth of value. No one else can do that efficiently. So we have both a right and a responsibility to do that effectively for the financial markets because it unlocks so much.
No question.
Among those things that it unlocks. So we're building out those rails to do that, to make it so that parties can, within seconds, convert any traditional holding into token form.
So with this shutdown and this lull, we're waiting for everything to come back and get done. They can very quickly, in seconds, tokenize $100 trillion worth of assets. And you could probably bet a good portion of that's probably already been done and waiting. More evidence here from Smoke Dog. DTC studies confirms blockchain can handle over 100 million daily trades in U.S. equity markets. The technology can advance further. She pointed out that in October, DTC study confirmed blockchain and other kinds of distributed ledger technology can handle 100 million average daily trading volumes in U.S. equity markets. That is an incredible number. That's what reminds me it'll be a multi-chain world after all, isn't it? Or how about the DTCC and the tokenizing of the 100 trillion and the reason I believe that Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple bought Hidden Road to begin with? That settles. The biggest non-bank prime broker on the planet. Listen to this quick clip right here.
And then earlier this year, to your point around mergers and acquisitions, we spent $1.25 billion to buy Hidden Road, a prime broker, frankly, the largest non-bank prime broker out there.
Bingo.
And we bought for $200 million, a stablecoin company called Rail, which was one of the leading stablecoin companies for the enterprise. So corporate treasury looking to use stablecoins to solve some of their internal movement of money, and that has been a great acquisition for us. So we're going to continue to play offense. I hope I have some more news on that very, very soon.
I hope to have more news on that very soon, huh? Yeah, I think it'll be news on that soon. Or how about when they showed us, Tom Sullivan told us that SocGen and MiCA compliance, that they could be on the blockchain of Ethereum.
Since then, it will now be available on several other blockchains, including Solana, Ripple, and Stellar.
There you have it. And then what does he show us? A transaction with the DTCC at the end of it. You tell me where this is going. I don't think there's anything left to guess about other than when are we going to get the market infrastructure bill done? When are we going to get the ETFs and that bank charter and that Federal Reserve master account? That's what I think we're waiting on. And then on top of it, how about the $1,000 XRP price prediction from Dom Kwok from EZA by 2030?
USD stablecoin, which is awesome, and we've already started educating our community on them. And ultimately for us, we're just super bullish on the mission, what they're doing already in terms of, bringing all these big institutions. Hidden Road acquisition, for example, is a great example of how they're going to actually be utilizing the XRP ledger in the real world, settling trades, etc., much faster, cheaper than otherwise would be possible. And then obviously also international money payments. All of those different aspects really make it one of the formative companies of the next decade, in our opinion. And I know a lot of people have been asking for my price targets on XRP. And I think this is the first time I'll say it, but I think XRP is heading to $1,000 by 2030. So.
There you have it right there. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I don't know what he's contributing to that price, but I would imagine some of it might have to do with the DTCC, Swift, Hidden Road, Rail Financial, and a whole bunch of what they're doing over there at EZA. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you in 2030 on the next one.